I'll just kill everyone on this squad. It's cool.
Ah yes, the dreaded tier list, maker and breaker of channels. We haven't done one yet on this channel, so I figured with Season 9 of Apex Legends being out for about 2 weeks, it was about time. So without further ado, I'm Brad from Last Call Gaming, let's tap into it. Couple of disclaimers before we really get underway. First and foremost, these are my opinion. If there's a legend you like, play that legend. Okay, this is just from my experience, what I think you will have the most success or the most failure with based on my time with these legends. Also, if there is a legend that you think that I ranked too low, I'm sure you'll let me know down in the comments and you're free to make your own tier list. Now let's get started. All right, S tier, always viable. There's only 3 legends here. You know them, you love them. They are the bread and butter. Bloodhound, Gibraltar, and Wraith. Thing that they all share in common is the fact that they have a pretty low skill floor and a very high skill ceiling, meaning they're very accessible to new players, and the more time you spend with them, they have an increased value in return, okay? Bloodhound, in my opinion, is one of the best legends in the game, hands down, all right? S tier tactical, S tier ultimate, fairly easy to pick up. The more you play him, the more value you gain. Gibraltar, same story. Bubble, very useful early on. Gun shield, very useful early on. The more you learn how to position yourself, the more you learn how to use bubble, his value increases exponentially. His ultimate leaves a little bit to be desired, but it's a great zoning tool if you use it effectively. Wraith, ever since the buff she got when low profile just disappeared from the game, she's phenomenal, okay? Like all 3 of these legends, she has great early, mid, and end game potential, and her ultimate is fantastic for positioning in end game fights. Moving on to A tier. These are all legends that theoretically can be S tier in the right hands. The reason they are not in S tier, for the most part, is because their skill floor is a lot higher. You can pick up these legends, they're all fairly movement-based, and they all bring a lot to the team fight. However, they're a lot harder to pick up, and for that reason, I don't have them in S tier. Like I said, in the right hands, they can absolutely be S tier legends every step of the way. They are Octane, Pathfinder, Valkyrie, and Lifeline. Only 4. Yes, these are all phenomenal legends. They will all easily fit in a comp with these S tier legends. They will all easily fit in a comp with one another. They are great. You will never have a bad pick choosing these. Just know that there is a lot of work that you have to put in to get the same level of value from the start. Octane, his nerf is negligible, okay? He's still a fast mover, he still has a rhythm that is second to none, and he's great for rotations, okay? He's also a fantastic standalone hero if you're trying to solo queue. You have a lot of potential to get around the map easily with him. Pathfinder, same story. Great solo queue hero, great team play hero. His ultimate is phenomenal for taking position in the mid and end game, and like other legends, his value scales with ability level. Valkyrie, the only reason that she's not S tier right now is because she is insanely difficult to play. You have to spend time with this legend. Her skill floor is probably the highest in the game, but because of that, her skill ceiling is through the roof. I am absolutely convinced that within a month, people that have been maining her since day 1 are going to be blasting all over the place and just taking charge. She's a great flanker. Her ultimate is super underrated. It is very, very valuable, and her tactical, when used correctly, can change the course of a fight. Lifeline is basically borderline S tier, and the only reason she's not is because I don't think her ultimate is as valuable as it could be. It's still very, very good. Her tactical, very, very good. Technically, she got nerfed at the beginning of the season, but it wasn't a nerf. She got straight up buffed. Her team now has to play around her and know their positioning a lot better, but her ability to res 2 teammates at once, huge, massive. Dump all of your resources into her, her return is exponential. Moving on to specialist picks. We have Crypto, Watson, Revenant, Bangalore, Horizon, and actually Fuse. And this is where I'm probably going to start to get a lot of flack about people being too high or people being too low. I don't care. There's a reason that these are where they are, and I will explain. Crypto is probably a lot higher than you might expect, and it's a lot higher, honestly, than I'd want to put him. But quite frankly, a good crypto player is second to none. If you can find a good crypto player, friend them, keep them in your group eternally, because they do have a lot of value. The problem is they are a specialist pick. Most crypto players aren't at that level. Sorry if you're a crypto main. There are talks that he may get a rework, and I've seen people put him higher on tier lists because he might get a rework, and until he does get a rework, he is going to be B tier for me. But he does have value if you are good at him. Watson, sort of same story. She doesn't need a rework per se, but she's very hard to play. This is another one where if you have the right comp, she will fit and some of these other tiers and within team comps, but you have to be engaged in conversation. You have to have basically a 3-stack or have teammates that will communicate with you. Otherwise, she has no value. It's very hard to play her solo, and it's very hard to communicate where you're bunkering. Revenant, what can I say? He's in a weird spot right now with the current meta. He's still strong. An Octane Revenant comp is still strong and still has value. A Revenant Valkyrie comp is actually very strong, and there are some interesting techs that you can do with that. But you need to be able to communicate that with your team, and without that, it's just a B tier pick at best. Bangalore, unless you have a Bloodhound, Bangalore is not as valuable. She ends up being more of a detriment to her team. Same story as Crypto, actually. Very good Bangalore players are scary, but she's not good enough to be A tier in my opinion. She is just vanilla. She's vanilla. She is your Soldier 76. There's nothing particularly stellar. Her abilities are good. And again, good Bangalore players, terrifying. But the vast majority of players that pick her up are going to smoke their team by accident, and that's not great. Horizon used to be S tier, used to be A tier, has gotten nerfed. Here's the thing. She's not in the dumpster. Good Horizon players are still going to be good with her. Standing on top of her gravity lift was never really the problem, okay? So now that she gets jettisoned after 2 seconds, not a big deal. She's still one of the best movers in the game. Her ultimate is still very valuable. Thing is, you have to know how to use them appropriately. You have to understand where and when to take height, and because of that, she's now a specialist pick in my opinion. I still play Horizon. I still like Horizon a lot. I don't think she's really that destroyed by her nerf, her recent nerf, but that's just my opinion. This is one that people are probably going to argue with, and whatever. Fuse is a B tier pick. People are probably going to be like, oh no, he needs a rework. No, he's met. No, he's fine, okay? Actually, I almost put him in A tier, but I figured that was too much because you do really need to know how to use him in order to get value out of him because he takes space almost better than anybody else in the game. His ability to control areas with his grenades and his ultimate is close to second to none. Again, you have to have the ability to know when to use them and where, and honestly, in arenas, he's probably S tier, but that's a whole other tier list. But for BR, he's fine. You can't go wrong having a Fuse on your team, but you do need to communicate, you do need to say, I am ulting this, I am queuing here, etc., etc., and without that kind of communication, B tier. Meh. All right, and here we go. Mirage, Loba, Caustic. I'm gonna go from the back. Caustic. His nerf made him just kind of meh. Again, kind of with Watson, if you're gonna bunker up, you need to be able to communicate with it, but his gas is not that terrifying anymore. And that's a good thing, but without his gas being that terrifying, he doesn't bring a lot to the table. And that's gonna be the theme with this entire tier, right? Their return is diminishing, meaning the higher that you go up, the less they bring to the table. Unlike the other legends on this tier list, right? Caustic doesn't really bring a lot to the table when he bunkers anymore. He's a little beefy, but that's about it. Loba. Loba is, again, another one. Lots of value in arenas, actually. She may actually be meta for arena, but again, different tier list. Loba doesn't bring a lot to the table in higher ranked play. In lower ranked games, it's fine because it's easy to get the loot that you want early and then you can take fights really quickly. But outside of that, not a whole lot that's really useful about her. I mean, her movement buff is great and Loba mains, respect to you. Like, you're probably having a great time now that her bracelet actually works. But other than that, there's not a whole lot that she brings to the table. Same with Mirage as well. Mirage mains, I'm sorry, but being able to bamboozle people is great. But again, like the specialist picks, it's one of those where if you don't have the communication to say, I'm using my abilities here, they're confused, they're bamboozled, attack now, if there's no follow-up with your ability, the ability is basically useless. Tricking someone for a few seconds to get you maybe like 1 or 2 bullets is fine, like it can win you an engagement. But again, the higher up you go, the less you're gonna fool people, and the less the return on investment. Bringing us finally to D tier, needs a rework. Rampart. I'm sorry. Rampart is actually underrated again in arenas. Like, in arenas, she's a sleeper pick, and I'll get to that when I do the arena tier list. But Rampart is not in a great place for BR, okay? She doesn't really fit anywhere. She's a great meme pick if you're doing pubs and trying to, do some crazy stunts, but Sheila takes way too long to rev up. The walls don't do as much as I think people want them to. And by and large, when you have all of these picks above her at your disposal, especially as many are in the S and A tier, I don't know why you would pick Rampart. She brings a different kind of bunker to the table, and I mean, if you're running a full bunker comp, I guess maybe. But that's a recipe for slow gameplay and not great RP gain if we're really being honest. So I don't know how they could rework her to make this better, but until they do, she's just gonna be bottom of the barrel for me. And I've spent some time, I tried to make her work and I can't do it. It's the gameplay doesn't suit me. That's my own personal opinion. As with all of these, these are my own personal opinions. But that is my Apex Legends Season 9 tier list for the first split. Let's see how it shakes out over the coming weeks. And so there you have it. Like I said, these are all entirely my opinion. If you disagree with me, feel free to let me know down in the comments. If you like this video, show it some love down below. Leave a like, comment, and consider subscribing to the channel if you want to see more content. I stream 3 times a week and have new videos every week. Until next time, thank you so very much for watching. Cheers.